Over the past 5 years, I've worked with elite and pro footballers from more than 12 top-flight leagues around the world, and one common pattern I have observed is that players simply do not know how to use the gym properly to improve their strength, their power, their speed, and become more resilient against injuries. And so they just end up wasting valuable time, energy, and most importantly, potential for growth because of their ignorance. So there was a young academy player I started working with online a couple of years back, and when he initially approached me, he told me that he just needed more speed to make a successful transition to the first team that was playing at a top flight division. I said, okay, let's just assess your strength, speed, and power first, compare it to the pro level that you're trying to reach, and then let's see what you actually need. And the test results were quite shocking for him. First of all, yes, there was a need for speed. 100%. But once he got his strength and power tests back and saw that his relative strength and his jump tests were not even close to what's expected at the pro standard, he started realizing that he fell into the most common trap footballers fall into. What got you here will not necessarily take you there. Just because you are able to shield the ball against other younger guys your age doesn't mean you match the physical demands and standards required at the level you aspire to reach. So once we nailed this down, I sat down with that player and we had a conversation about our approach inside the gym, both individually and with his team lifts. And you guessed it right, I heard all the typical mistakes players or coaching staff make inside the gym, either leading players to a bodybuilder-like approach or the approach a postnatal mom would use to shed off that pregnancy fat. Either way, you gotta come up with something smarter. And to demonstrate to you how important that is, we managed to achieve such a huge stride of growth with this player in his strength and power that he or his team S&C staff didn't achieve in 3 years. So if your approach isn't giving you measurable results, you're simply wasting time, energy, and potential. Let me show you how to fix that by implementing a series of frameworks to see an explosive growth in your strength and power over the next 4 to 6 months. So what is the secret sauce? It comes down to understanding two crucial concepts, force and power. Think of force as your raw strength. Having a high force ceiling is vital in sports. It's the foundation to build everything else. However, having a high force ceiling is only half the puzzle. The other half is power, which is your ability to exert that force quickly. And this is where many footballers go wrong. They train like bodybuilders, focusing on slow, controlled movements for muscle growth, or like a postnatal mom doing light resistance work and barely scratching the surface with force development. While those methods generally have their place in time, even inside a footballer's work regimen, they simply do not translate to the explosive and rapid movements demanded by football. You can be as strong as an ox, but if you cannot express that strength quickly, it's useless on the pitch. You need to be able to apply that force in milliseconds. That's power, rate of force development. So how do we bridge that gap from the gym to the pitch? From pure force to more force and more power. How do we take that raw strength and turn it into more explosive, game-changing power? That is the framework I want you to operate on as a footballer. Pure strength is great, but adding power and explosiveness will make you stand out. And this is where the 5 key pillars of football-specific gym training come into play. And yes, those are the pillars I used with the player I mentioned earlier to see incremental strength and power gains in a matter of a few months. So number 1, lifting heavy. This is where we build a high force ceiling. To get strong, you need to lift heavy weights. Based on research and on the SAID principle, lifting heavy is actually the most efficient and effective way to push your strength ceiling higher. I'm talking about compound movements like squats, trap bar deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, and other compound lifts performed with challenging loads for low repetitions. This kind of training stimulates your nervous system and builds the foundational strength you need to generate high levels of force. It's about getting comfortable moving heavy weights, which translates to feeling strong, stable, and resilient on the pitch. Although heavy lifting is a really valuable weapon when it comes to increasing your strength, You gotta be careful with it though and ensure you lift that weight with proper form before you start progressively overloading your body with more weight. And number 2 comes hand in hand with heavy weightlifting, and it's actually the main reason players miss out on so many power gains inside the gym, and that is number 2, lifting with intent. This is where we start working on power. When you lift, no matter what weight you're using, you must lift it with intent and move it as fast as humanly possible. Just watch these clips side by side and notice the difference with your own eyes, but also look at the difference in lifting velocity in the app. On the left side, I am only working on strength, whereas on the right side, my lifting intent helps me tap into both strength development and rate of force development. Just think about it. When you sprint, you're trying to move your body as fast as possible. When you jump, you're trying to launch yourself as high as possible. Your gym lifts should mirror this intent. Even if the bar barely moves, your brain should be telling your muscles to fire with maximum velocity. Because this is going to teach your nervous system to recruit muscle fibers rapidly, directly improving your rate of force development. And as I've said, this is going to be one of the main drivers for you to start generating more power and convert all your gym gains into something meaningful on the pitch. And talking about intent, there is another extra tool you can utilize inside the gym to become really powerful, and that is the use of plyometrics and ballistics. Plyometrics and ballistics are there to bridge the gap. Now we're essentially taking those gym gains and make them directly applicable to the field. Plyometrics like counter movement jumps, drop jumps, pogo hops, and ballistic exercises like medicine ball slams or broad jumps are all about expressing force explosively. They are the bridge that connects your heavy weightlifting to your on-field performance. We're training your body here to absorb and then rapidly release energy, mimicking the dynamic actions you perform constantly in a football match, and this is where you truly start to feel that power transfer. Now, the fourth exercise is one that I really like to couple with plyometrics or ballistics because it acts as a really great tool for maximal neuromuscular recruitment. And I'm obviously talking about overcoming isometrics here. Now, overcoming isos are an often overlooked tool. If you're not already aware of them, they are basically exercises where you are pushing or pulling against an immovable object with maximum effort and intent. Here, you're generating immense force at a specific joint angle. Similar to weightlifting, if the cue is to push or pull as hard and as fast as you can, you're going to tap into both rate of force development and maximum strength. So you're essentially killing two birds with one stone. This type of training is incredible for building peak force and power outputs, as well as improving your ability to activate a high number of muscle fibers simultaneously, really pushing that force ceiling even higher. So if you haven't been using this sort of isometric yet, I would highly encourage you to slowly start integrating it into your approach. And of course, if you need any help with that, you're done guessing and want a tailored plan that actually works, hit the first link below now to work with me one-on-one, no matter where you are in the world. Let's start your transformation this month, not next season. Finally, let's address your individual weaknesses. Auxiliary strength work involves general strength lifts or yielding isometrics, where you hold a specific position for time that targets specific muscle groups or movements where you might be deficient. This could be anything from exercises for your hamstrings to improve sprint posture, groin exercises to reduce groin pain injury risk, which is becoming really big in the football industry lately, or core work for better stability. All of this work is done to supplement the raw strength and power work you've done and add an extra stimulus to grow your strength and make you more resilient to injuries. And now before you leave, I wanted to share a little bonus with you, which is a simple lower body workout structure from my in-season cheat code ebooks. You can find linked below. As you can see here, the progression from exercise to exercise is really straightforward. You want to progress from neurally demanding exercises to more general strength work. That way you can do your maximum strength rate of force development and power work with a fresh system, perform each rep with true maximal intent, and then make the final push with general strength. Now to recap this video, as you can see, there's a clear progression here. We build a high force ceiling with heavy lifting and overcoming isometrics. Then we teach your body to express that force rapidly through lifting with intent, plyometrics, and ballistics. And finally, we make your body even more resilient and robust with targeted auxiliary work. This isn't just about looking good in the mirror, although that's a nice side effect. This is about becoming a more dominant, a more explosive, and a more resilient footballer. It's about trading those endless bicep curls for movements that genuinely impact your performance on the pitch. And that is the thought I want you to leave with from this video. I'm Elias Contas, and that was your guide on how to translate your gym gains into something meaningful on the pitch. Until the next one, have a good one.